Alright, so 2 Chainz just released his new album, Rap or Go to the League, March 1st. It has 14 songs and it runs for 55 minutes. The album cover, we see a house is kind of boarded up. This is basically the trap house, and then in front of that we see a milk crate nailed to the telephone pole, which is basically like a makeshift basketball court, something you would typically see up in the hood. So this is kind of a parallel of his life of him being a basketball player versus him, being in the streets and ultimately transitioning into becoming a rapper. And the title is basically a call to action for, minorities who feel that their only way out is for them to either be a ball player or to be a rapper. But there's more that you can do besides that, and this album is going to, give you a few tips as to what you can do besides going down those 2 paths. But anyway, moving on, singles, we have track 10, Girl's Best Friend, featuring $. Standouts, we have track 2, Threat to Society. On his record, 2 Chainz takes the time to reflect back on his life, whether it's losing friends and family, his time in the streets as a b-ball player or now as a rapper. On this track, he also talks about selling drugs to his mom, which is kind of crazy. And he talks about, losing people at various different times. And then we have track 3, Money in a Way. It's a record showing 2 Chainz' focus is solely on stacking his money, business, and family, and everything else has to take a back seat, which is very important when you're trying to get something accomplished. You have to have tunnel vision and keep your eye on the prize. We have track 4, Statute of Limitations. 2 Chainz paints a narrative of his time as a drug dealer. And basically now that the statute of limitations has passed, he's given us an in-depth look at some of the activities he used to engage in while using, several different rappers' names cleverly throughout the song. We have track 7, NCAA. 2 Chainz critiques the NCAA for its outdated policies of not allowing student athletes to earn money, but yet the NCAA profits off of them. He says, "Let me get this straight. If I drop 40 today, you don't care if I eat. You don't care if I ate. They say, you better have a good grade like a mixed baby hair. They say, we're going to the tournament. We're going to need you there." And this is basically speaking to the student athletes. They're only being provided, funding for their schooling and whatnot. That doesn't take into account them needing to eat and doing various other things. And they're forced to do all these different things, but yet there's no type of returns on that. And then he says, "Wait a minute, let me follow this. You think because I got a scholarship that I don't need dollars just to parlay with? What? And that's what I was talking about before, how, there's more to it than just room and board. You need money to do other things as well." And then he says, "Manziel had the highest selling jersey. Braun moved back to Cleveland. Drake made a song about him, man. He ain't even working." And he's speaking to Johnny Manziel, who at one point in time in college had the best-selling jersey, and the NCAA as a whole made all that money off of him, but yet he didn't receive a dime from that. And that's one of the things that I don't like about the NCAA. They make all this money off of these athletes, but yet they're unwilling to pay them. A simple method to resolve this is basically what LeVar Ball did, and you got to shout him out because he changed the dynamic of, college sports, because now you have the G League offering, kids I think it's $100,000 or more if they want to come straight out of high school. And if he didn't do that, nothing would have changed. But getting back to the NCAA, them not paying kids, but yet they're profiting millions and billions of dollars off of these kids on a yearly basis. I don't think it's fair. Everybody's receiving money all the way down from the coaches to the boosters. But yet, if a kid, made a YouTube channel, but yet he's on the football team, he will lose his eligibility because they see it as him profiting off of his likeness. So you're basically a slave under the NCAA. But anyways, moving on, we have Rule the World featuring Ariana Grande. The record sees 2 Chainz rapping about his wife, Keisha, whom has made him a better person, open to love. He says, right now I use love for a medication. Love. Back in the day, I'd shoot Cupid with no hesitation. Bow, bow. So basically, this right here shows a mature Chainz. A few years back, he probably was, not open to being in a relationship, let alone a marriage. But now that he's older, more mature, know more things, he's finally, come to grips and decided to give it a go by marrying the mother of his kids, which I think is pretty dope. And then we have track 10, Girl's Best Friend, featuring Ty Dolla $ign. It's the lead single and a record about diamonds being a girl's best friend. The typical cliche. We have track 11, $2 Bill, featuring Lil Wayne and E40. 2 Chainz says, spit cold shit, need Mucinex, which is, medicine for colds and flu and whatnot. Diamond chain around my neck with a crucifix. Got a family now, so I got to pipe down for a young hoe fuck up my timeline. And I thought that was pretty clever because he's speaking to, scrolling down the timeline of Instagram and, having some sort of lust for these Instagram models, and it ends up getting you caught up and messing up your whole situation. So he's basically saying that now that he has a family, he can no longer, engage in those type of activities, because otherwise it can mess up everything he got going on. And then we have Wayne. He says, I'm high, midair, don't vomit up here. Like a cop, that's fair. Like a triple-double there, I'm rare. I thought that's pretty funny. And then he says, really rare. You scared? You really scared. I'm where? I'm here and there. You stare, you disappear. Oh yeah, that's really real. That flare, them simmies tear. That trigger softer than hair. Trigger figure. The trigger finger is softer than hair. Silencer's hearing impaired. That's rare. Shoot up a fair. That's rare. My goons don't care. They bears. Might get the chair. Who cares? They say they prayers. Wayne is so dope with his metaphors and his double entendres and stuff. And I think he stole the record with that. And then we have E40. He says, startup companies, cryptocurrency coins. So basically he's speaking to what he's been doing, starting companies. I know he got his own liquor line. He's apparently invested in cryptocurrency. He says, I'm rare like white running backs. These squares a box of Apple Jacks. Because Apple Jacks comes in a rectangular, box, a square. I'm an innovator, a trendsetter, far from a copycat. I don't rap like none of you niggas. Sure don't. I'm one of one of one. The baddest bitch in the world could suck my dick, and I bet I won't come. Biatch! He was stupid for that last part. And then we have I Said Me. It's a self-reflective record in which Chainz is asked what's a drug dealer, killer, and real nigga, to which he answers me. And each of those questions is asked by his daughter, his lawyer, and I think society as a whole, which I thought was pretty cool. I think that was a pretty cool record. And then we have Sam, which I think is a very important record too. It's the outro track in which 2 Chainz raps about taxes and how the amount becomes steeper the more you make. And yeah, you know, Uncle Sam, taxes and all of that, it is a bit of a interesting situation considering taxes wasn't really a thing until like later on, you know. Taxes wasn't always a thing, and then eventually they were implemented. And you know, the more money you make, the more taxes you have to pay. And he was saying that to P Diddy that he had to pay 2 million, and he said 2 million, I had to pay 100. And so right there, 2 Chainz said to himself that he just had to, you know, toughen it up because it could be worse. You know, he could be paying, you know, 100 million as opposed to 2 million like P Diddy. But yeah, taxes is a pretty tricky subject. You know, do you really need to pay taxes considering money isn't backed by anything? Thus, you can print as much money as you want. So do you really need people's, you know, money for things when you can just create money out of thin air? But, you know, that's a conversation for another day. But anyways, moving on, sleepers, we have Forgiven featuring Marsha Ambrosia. We have High Top Versace featuring Young Thug. Speaking of Versace, 2 Chainz got married at the Versace mansion, and he also has a deal with Versace, which he rapped about. He said, how many niggas you know at the good hood got to deal with Versace, which I think is pretty dope. And then we have Whip featuring Travis Scott. I'm Not Crazy. Life Is featuring Chance the Rapper and Kodak Black. I thought this one was a pretty dope track too. The two verses delivered by Chance and Kodak was pretty cool. And then Skids, we have Mama I Hit a Lick featuring Kendrick Lamar. And my personal favorites for this album are track 3, Money in the Way. We have track 4, Statute of Limitations. Track 9, Rule the World. Track 11, $2 Bill. I Said Me. And I'm Not Crazy, Life Is featuring Chance the Rapper and Kodak Black. And my overall conclusion, I thought this was a great album. As far as out of his 5 albums, I would probably put this one either probably 2, between 2 and 3. I thought this was a pretty dope album. Very introspective, you know, shows a lot of growth. I think this is probably one of his most complete bodies of work because it seems like the entire project was carefully constructed and pieced together, and it had a specific lane that it went down, and you see a lot of growth from him. He's conscious with the record about, you know, Uncle Sam with taxes and the NCAA, which is also a pretty interesting subject. And I've started to notice a pattern as far as like the artists coming out of, or should I say the artists from the South. 2 Chainz, Offset, and 21 Savage, all 3 of their projects have been showing, you know, signs of growth. They've all been introspective, which I think is pretty dope. And I also think it's pretty telling to hear, you know, Offset say that moving away from the flash and the dream into more of a, you know, more substance-based album is what he's gearing towards. And hopefully more artists start doing that, especially, you know, in the South, because the materialistic rap is watered down. It's like, how many times can you rap about your AP or, you know, your Gucci and all that stuff till it gets burnt out. And at this point, for me, it's pretty burnt out. So this was a breath of fresh air from 2 Chainz. This is a dope project, and LeBron was A&R on this, so he did a dope job with being an AR for this. And overall, I gave the album a 13 out of 14, which comes out to a 92%. So this is a great effort put forth by 2 Chainz. But anyways, guys, if you're a fan of 2 Chainz, be sure to buy this album, stream it, all of that. If you enjoyed my review, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, all of that, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.